Hi, everybody. Happy Sunday. I took last week off because it was Mother's Day, and you guys gave me permission. I asked you in the community page, should I take the day off? And you said yes. So I did take the day off. I ended up having a lovely day with my husband and got to hang out with my parents. And then I'm going to show you the thing that my husband bought me because you guys are going to find it really funny. We're going to be talking about real estate in a minute, but I just thought you would get a big kick out of this. I got a scooter. I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, I got a scooter. That's me. And I'm on the scooter acting a fool on the scooter. I'm a goofball. I love it. It's gonna be fun. So that came in the mail, and I've been scootering around, and so I hope you guys had a great Mother's Day. And so during that time, the housing market hasn't shifted much, but someone in the comment section had already stated that instead of real estate agents getting 20 offers, they're getting like 10 now. And I have heard that, but that doesn't mean that necessarily the housing prices are going to drop like a rock. It just means that possibly, I'm not saying that it's actually happening. Possibly you're going to have a little bit more of a selection of houses, and you may not have as many people competing against you. Instead of 20, you're going to have 10. But I just got off the phone with somebody else in Austin, Texas. And he has to call and say, are we even in the ballpark? And they're like, you're in like 3 stadiums in the next city. So the housing market isn't any better. But I do have a special guest. You guys might remember him. He's been on our live streams many times. His name is Malcolm Lawson. He is now with Real Real Estate. Believe it or not, that's a real company. Real Real Estate. Is it Real Real Estate? Real Realty? It's just Real, and he works for them now. Is it Real Estate? What is it? What are you? Real
it's
what?
Simply Real Broker, which isn't really all that much better. So just call it Real. It just sounds a lot better that way.
It sounds very real.
It's very real. It's the real deal. Yeah.
Oh man, I'm so witty. So, today we're going to have a big conversation. There's some things that I want to discuss with you because you're in a completely different area of the country. You're all the way up into the Northeast, and I'm in the South. But we are facing the same kind of issues, which is affordable homes and markets. And of course, we're going to be answering all your questions in the chat. Whenever you have a question, please put the word question first so that the moderator can put it up on the screen, and Malcolm and I can answer your questions. I've been in real estate for 14 years. How long have you been in real estate, Malcolm? 5 whole years, and we can go ahead and answer those. But I did have a question. I'm going to pull this up. I know, Eddie, question, whose job is it to stop a client from purchasing a money pit? That is the inspector's job. And if you waive inspections right now, what do you say?
Yeah, so we're seeing a lot of people doing that right now, completely waiving inspections and buying the home as is, which is really scary. I don't advise my clients to do that. I usually do as is. You can do inspections, but you still have the right to back out of the contract if you want to. But ultimately, I mean, it's kind of up to the client if they want to buy a money pit or not. I've had some clients I can't talk out of doing that.
And my husband and I's first home was a money pit. Like, we bought it. It was a rental unit. And she was like, this is a glorious house. It used to be the model home. Well, it was the model home in probably 1982 or 83.
Right.
And they hadn't changed anything in that model home since 92. And it was like seriously covered in pink, mauve, everything, and nothing had been changed. So when we were taking down stuff, there was like layers of dust everywhere. So every time we were uncovering something, it was another problem. By the time we sold that house, it was like them buying a brand new house. It was every time we turned around. But thank God it had increased in value so much, because we would have been losing our shirts on that. But I
did have quadrupled in value since then.
I had a question that came in from a subscriber in an email. Let's pull off that banner, Eddie. It says, hello, I'm a subscriber to your channel. And I watch all of your Sunday live streams. I started watching your content because my husband and I are in the process of buying a piece of raw land and buying it on the 21st Mortgage Repos Homes. We're almost at closing part of the process, and I wanted to know if you could do a video about what happens after the closing. Well, believe it or not, closing for a manufactured home or a piece of land is no different than it is for a home. And here in Louisiana, every state's going to have something a little different. I know Texas, it makes you wait until the funds are completely closed. But here in Louisiana, the minute you sign, they hand over the keys and call it a day. Now, some people, you have to wait, like, I think 3 to 5 days before it actually is transferred over to the buyer. What is it like in your state?
I've never helped anybody buy a manufactured home, so I actually don't know. I mean, I know that the financing is different, right? You can't get a traditional loan for a manufactured home, so I don't know if that would somehow influence things. Am
Wrong,
I
wrong,
wrong
wrong.
about that? Educate me on that.
Yeah, I'm going to give you a little education. So if you're
All right.
buying it with a manufactured home with a piece of land, it is real property. You can use a 30-year mortgage on that. You can use an FHA, VA, conventional loan. Now, if you're buying a manufactured home and you're putting in a park where you rent the lot underneath it,
Mm.
then that's a different loan. That's called a chattel loan, and they have a higher interest rate. So you're wrong, Mr. Malcolm.
I got to watch more of your videos, apparently.
Yes.
That video.
Yeah, I've even done a few videos about financing on manufactured homes. You can even, in some cases, refinance them. So don't listen to the hype. You can get a traditional home loan on a manufactured home.
Oh, look at that. I learned something new. Yeah, we don't have that many manufactured homes like in my area, in my part of Maryland. Like we have more rural parts of Maryland that I think they're more common, but kind of like in the more congested area, you just don't really see them that often.
Yeah. Do you guys have tiny homes out there?
No, I honestly have never seen a tiny home in Maryland. Now we do have a lot of homes that were built in like the 1950s, and they're like cottages, and they're really just small. We have a lot of those. We have a lot of really old communities. A lot of like they originally built as like vacation communities or something along those lines. And they could probably be considered tiny homes. Some of them probably even smaller than some of the tiny homes you can buy. But I don't have any. I've never seen an official tiny home in this area.
That's one of my solutions to the affordable housing crisis
Yeah.
is after World War II, they wanted to get as many people in homes as possible. That was like one of the ways that they were trying to rebuild the economy after World War II. And they started building homes. And believe it or not, this is like a super crazy thing. Homes were actually less expensive than purchasing a car. So people didn't really even look at their home as much of an asset as they do now. A lot of those homes, believe it or not, were built like a modular, like where the pieces
Right.
were brought in. Even Sears and Roebuck, you could have bought those all the way into, I think it was 1920s on. You could buy these kit homes that had the numbers where you put together like IKEA. And that concept still is today. And those craftsman type of Sears homes are beautiful, well-crafted homes that you could still purchase. People are like, these are amazing. They had crown molding and all sorts of stuff in there, but you just had to do it yourself. The kit, though, it said you could build it in 90 days.
Wow.
And it was you could, if you had like 90 days and 90 friends.
Right. You and one guy in 90 days. Jeez, yeah, I can imagine that.
Yeah.
Right outside of DC, there is a couple of communities. I think it's in Greenbelt where they were built in like the 1940s and 1950s, and I think they were part of that big initiative. And it's these really old, cute townhouses that are like really high quality, and they're really sought after because they just have so much character. And they were part of this whole like revitalization of the housing community back then. I'll do some research on that and send that to you.
Yeah. Well, I think the part that's like really killing my soul, and I was just talking to Jeremy Knight, who's in Austin, Texas, is the fact that there isn't any affordable homes for just the average person. Like I would easily be able to sell a house, 10 years ago to a school teacher, easily. Now for a school teacher is unaffordable for them to purchase a home because they don't make enough income to purchase a house in the area that they're teaching in. That's a problem. I don't know if you saw, like they're predicting at the end of January, the average American home, median price home is going to be $408,800. $408,000. That is insanity to me. That's nearly, it's only $100,000 off from $500,000 for an average house.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you're absolutely right. We're getting that K-shaped recovery where the people that are own homes and have the good paying jobs, they're all benefiting from this. And the people who are first time home buyers or, doing these civil service duties like policemen and firefighters and EMTs and stuff, they're the ones who are gonna have a harder time getting into the market and buying that first house. And it really is unfortunate. And so even if interest rates go back up, I don't see housing prices coming back down. They may stagnate, but if you look at home prices over like the last 100 years, it's very rare that they come down. They go up and they go up and they go up higher. So we're going to be stuck with these higher home prices probably for a very long time, unless they go even higher, which is possible as well.
Well, I think what's really going to make this even more difficult is the fact that how many corporation investors are getting into the real
Oh
estate
no.
market and foreign investors. They've like I said, I was talking to Jeremy, and they're buying them and they're not even living in them. They're just buy them and leave them vacant. It's
Yeah.
like, what are they doing? What are they doing? And I know this was a problem because I talked to Brad McCallum, and he said that was a thing that was happening in Canada. So they put a limit, like if you couldn't buy a home and just leave it there and not live in it, someone had to occupy it, or you had to pay some kind of tax, or you had so long before someone could occupy it, because there was just not enough houses for people that were moving into the area, and there's a bunch of houses just sitting there vacant. Insanity.
Yeah, one of the reports that I read from the National Association of Realtors said that they think that home value is going to continue to rise another 7% in this year, 2021. So I think a lot of people, you're right, they're just seeing it as a great investment, a great hedge against inflation. If you're a corporation and you got $10 million, where do you stick it? Residential real estate may not be a bad option for them, just to kind of protect them from inflation. And they get, kind of a guaranteed, rate of return on that. So yeah, I think you're right that we probably are seeing that. And we saw a lot of that in 2008. We saw a lot of corporations and banks buying all these rental properties from foreclosures, turning them into rental properties because they knew that the housing market was ultimately going to recover. And it's not good for the consumer. Obviously it's good for them, but not us consumers.
Well, there's a real estate company called Blackstone, and what they've been doing is before they even are built, they're going to companies like D.R. Horton and KB Homes and all those big tract builders. And before, soon as they scrape the ground, they're already buying the whole entire neighborhood, and then they're selling those individual houses to their investors, and that whole neighborhood ends up being one complete rental community. And it's run by Blackstone. They are the company that will be managing those houses. Just each individual investor of them will be their own people that they have put within their company. And
Wow.
People thought it was crazy. And then there was another report that came out of Texas. I had mentioned it before in Conroe, but I talked to a real estate agent in South Carolina, and it happened in her area too. So they're trying to fight to make sure that nobody else does this, because they had bought two neighborhoods, almost one right next to each other. And they have a housing shortage for just regular families just trying to buy a house.
Yeah.
And I don't blame D.R. Horton for doing it, but there should be a limitation to how many investors can buy out a neighborhood.
Yeah, I don't like that at all. So in those areas, you have even less inventory, which is just adding to the problem. They have more rentals, but less home for sales. A big part of Joe Biden's initiative and everything was to give the first-time home buyers a grant and try to make it easier for them, which sounds good in theory, but you're just adding more buyers to the market. What we need is more inventory. That's what we really need, is more homes on the market. Maybe even less buyers, that wouldn't be a bad thing. And just adding more buyers to the market is just kind of making that problem even worse, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think that if they, for those people that are essential workers in the area, I know that our interest rates are very low right now, but there is an indication that they're probably going to rise at some point. But I think for people that are school teachers, firefighters, police officers, and those people that are working in that specific area, they almost should have a 0.5 interest rate on their mortgage, so they can live in that area and afford to live in that area if they're going to have to buy a close to $500,000 house, and maybe give them a little bit more incentive to live in that area instead of having to drive over an hour just to teach school or, I mean, how safe is it for a firefighter to live an hour away because they can't afford to live in the area that they work?
Right. Yeah. You see that in New York City. You see people that'll commute 2 hours just to get into New York City every day to work there, because that's where the work is and that's where the jobs are. And they certainly can't afford to live in New York City as a firefighter or a policeman or anything. Yeah, it's a messy situation.
Well, there was a headline. I got to show you this because you're gonna be like, what? People love to sell newspapers. Let me just show you this because it's all right. Let's do a little screen share here. Let's do the window, Chrome tab. Here we go. I love this. This made me laugh. The housing boom might hit its peak. It might have hit its peak.
Might be at its peak.
Yeah. Good luck. All right. So if you actually, just like anybody, if you just read the headline, it's just a headline.
Right.
Because once they're literally talking about in one specific area, it was a 0.2 change of the amount of activity in this specific area. It's hardly a burst of the bubble, but they say it's a tiny step in a buyer friendly direction. Yeah. Are you have you seen that in your area? Has any? Now, I will say that I've seen in real estate groups, there are some people that are like, I've had this house listed for 20 days and normally I would get about 20 offers and I haven't gotten one. I have seen that, but they're in smaller areas like Toledo, Ohio, or something like that, like places I've never heard of.
Right. It's still crazy here. I submitted an offer today on a property as is, and we submitted it with an escalation clause to be over $90,000 above the list price. That's what our escalation clause. The list price is $475. We put an escalation clause all the way up to $570, and this is the third offer that we've submitted for these clients, similar to this one, as is. And I'm still nervous we may not get it. So as is, we agreed to do $20,000 above appraised value if the home under appraises. And we've done pretty much the same offer on 2 other properties, and we've missed out on those. So it is still freaking crazy here in Maryland, and people are throwing everything they can at these properties. The only thing we could do to make our offer stronger is not have any inspections whatsoever. But I don't advise that people do that. That makes me really nervous. But we're going up against people who are saying, as is, no inspections, no nothing. We'll just take it as is. So yeah, it's still crazy here.
I'll do a thing that says, as is, inspections are for buyer's information only unless repairs are over X amount of dollars. So whatever the comfortable is for the buyer. So if, it needs a new HVAC system, the roof is crap, and, the hot water heater is going to go at any moment, and there's holes in the, floorboards and stuff like that. And they've been covering that up with all sorts of crazy stuff. The buyers can walk away from that. They show them the report. It's cost way more than, $5,000, and they can walk away. But that's the only, that's what I've been telling them. It's as is, but unless this inspection report comes up with a bunch of crazy stuff, then you can walk away. Because I don't want them to be stuck with a house. I'm terrified they're going to be stuck with this house that has $30,000 worth of damage on it.
Yeah, I'd feel horrible if I saw that.
Question: please explain capital improvements. I have a USDA loan with a payback of subsidy. Can you explain that? I don't know what that is. Capital improvements.
No.
Capital improvements.
Capital gains. I know that.
Yeah, capital gains is a thing, but capital improvements. I'm just gonna see if there is a definition of that, because sometimes.
Yeah, I've done USDA loans.
I do them all the time.
Oh yeah, I've done 2 or 3 of them. They're not super. There's a map of what's qualified, and there's only a couple areas around here that are qualified for the USDA loan. It's an awesome program, 0 down, which is you can't complain with that. But no, I'm not familiar with capital gains or payback of subsidy.
Okay, all right, I'm gonna put this up. I'm going to add this to the stream so all of us can get an education here. All right. Yeah, let's do a little learning together. So, capital improvements. This was the Google search. It says capital improvement is an addition of a permanent structure, change, or restoration of some aspect of the property that will either enhance the property's overall value, prolong its useful life, or adapt its new uses. Individuals, businesses, cities can make capital improvements on their own. Their property on their own. So I guess it's just things that you've done to add value to it.
I guess, yeah, that's actually just sounds like just an improvement. I don't know what the difference is between improvement and capital improvement. Maybe it adds capital to the property. I don't know.
Well, you can do improvements that add no value. Like some people will put like for instance, if we put a pool in our area that adds little to no value, even though like it makes it more sellable. But like if you put a $50,000 pool, that may only increase your value maybe $10,000 because it's one of those things you're doing for you and not for necessarily the value to go up. But if you do something like a kitchen and you put $30,000 worth in that kitchen and you made this humongous kitchen, that's going to add value. Matter of fact, an outdoor kitchen in our area would add more value than the pool. So that's outdoor kitchens are a huge thing here. People love to eat outside and have their families.
Yeah, we don't have too many of those here. I bet you like the pool. So here we consider pool as like neutral. It doesn't really add value because you're eliminating a lot of buyers from the market who don't want to deal with the pool. I bet you as you get like further up north, like how much value a pool adds, it probably gets less and less because that pool season gets shorter and shorter. Kind of same thing with the outdoor kitchen. We don't really have those all that often here, but our summer, our warm months are probably a lot shorter than yours, or a little bit shorter than yours at least.
But you have Maryland crabs and people eat crabs like on a picnic table and like all that stuff. We have Yeah, but we do that. We have crawfish boils. We eat them outside. We have special tables that where the tray actually fits around the trash can. So as you're shucking the crawfish, you just throw the tails right in the bucket in the center.
Oh, nice.
I know. And they have little beer holders too, because you always have to have your beat of beer with your. It's a thing here.
But not often. It's not like a common thing here.
Yeah. If anybody's got a question, throw it up. Normally we got some good questions coming in. So what do you think is going to happen throughout the summer, Mr. Malcolm Lawson?
So I thought we're going to see a lot more inventory. I've been expecting more inventory right now, and we're not seeing as much inventory as I was really hoping. I'm still a little surprised by that. We're still seeing kind of an inventory shortage. I was expecting that when people start getting their shots and everything, and they feel more comfortable selling their homes, that everybody who didn't feel comfortable selling their home last year be selling their home right now during the springtime. And we may be seeing a little bit of that, but not nearly as much as I was really hoping for. So I'm a little surprised.
Because they don't know where they're going to go. That's 100% it. Like everybody that I've ever talked to, they're like, I know I can make a ton of money, but where am I going to go? Like I can't, every time I open, there isn't any houses on the market that I would even consider buying right now because there isn't hardly anything out there. So even though I really would like to sell my home, I just don't know where I'd go. And then I don't know about your area, but our area is impossible to find a rental. Impossible. It is just as hot to buy as it is to rent. And I showed some rental properties to a young girl that was thinking about buying, but she was going to wait. She wanted to improve her credit score so she could get a lower interest rate. And as I'm showing these rental houses, they're going under contract just as fast as they would if it was just a regular house. So affordable rentals is just as hard to find as it is affordable housing.
That's very true.
Question. Now that masks are no longer necessary for vaccinated people, do you think more people will be listing their home for sale? That's what Malcolm was just saying. They did. Malcolm, you weren't the only one who thought this, by the way. There were lots of people who had said that, the reason why people weren't selling is they didn't want people with their germs, in their house.
Right.
And they thought that more people would get on board and start selling their houses. And that could, the school hasn't let out yet. So some people wait until, as their kids are getting out of school. So we're into May right now. Are we in May? Yeah. The months run together. So we're in May now. So probably by the end of May, there will be a good indication to see as if more houses are going to hit the market, because May and June, that's when like the most listings seem to get on the market. And then July and August is the busiest area time for selling, like where they actually sell. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. I just don't see it going down. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I self-identify as vaxxed. Okay. It's not that hard to get vaccinated. Question. Is there a specific time of year season to actually sell a property? Does it matter during this time when the inventory is very low? Should my parents wait a bit longer? So, and I guess she's in California. What's your opinion there?
Yeah, in Maryland, at least, the statistics show that if the list price, the sales price is higher during the springtime than it is at, let's say, peak in the wintertime. And I forget the exact numbers, but like for here in Maryland, like January and February were the worst months to sell. And if you sold instead in like June and May, I think statistically you're going to sell it for like $10,000 more. Now that those months change depending on where in the country you are. And it's essentially the springtime. Once the weather starts warming up, everybody who didn't want to sell because of the bad weather, they all put their homes on the market. So down in Florida, that season starts a little bit sooner. Up in like Alaska, they have like a very small window of warm weather that people actually want to move in. And so statistically, yeah, your homes will sell for a little bit more during the springtime than it will at like peak winter time. Now it's not a huge difference. And right now, all of that kind of goes out the window because we're in a crazy market right now. I would say sell now, just sell it. We don't know what's going to go on with this market. We don't know how long this crazy market's going to last. And if they're going to make a nice little profit on their home, really what I tell people is sell when it's most convenient to you. Don't try to time the market. Just try to sell whenever it's most convenient to you. And that's probably what I would tell your folks in California as well.
Yeah, I had a woman call me, a subscriber, and she was like, I don't know what to do. She was sharing the house with her mom, and her mom had passed away. And she was kind of like, this is really difficult for me to handle. I don't know if I should get a roommate. I don't know if I should sell right now. I have, the financial advisor is telling me not to sell, but I really want to move to this area. And I'm like, if you really want to move to this area and you'd really are struggling in this home, get rid of it and get yourself another house.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing, but I understand when you hear so much information and there is a ton of people just blah, 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 and everybody's guessing on when this crash is going to happen. But I want to warn everybody. The crash, once this levels out, most economists, a lot smarter than myself and Malcolm, are saying there's going to be a leveling off before there's like this big dip in home prices. We're going to have a leveling off. If you're waiting for a wave of foreclosures to hit the market, that won't be happening for a very long time, because the last day they can file forbearance is June 30th, 2021. And after that, they can still extend that out for another 6 months. Let's just say they don't pay another payment, and it's going to take them at least 400 days minimum. I think it's actually 428 days before they even could, if that would be the fastest they could take those homes, turn them around and put them in the foreclosure market once again, where people could purchase them. It's going to take a long time before those hit the market. And we got enough investors in the background waiting for, a wave of foreclosures. They're like, please, please let me buy some houses. I know house flippers are waiting for them too. We don't have as many house flippers. Do you in your area?
We do have a lot of house flippers in our area. And I actually like them. They do a good job, and they go in and they renovate these really old houses that have been touched since the 60s and 70s. So they're a vital part of our ecosystem here in Maryland. I don't mind them at all.
Yeah, I'm going to actually post a picture and after this is over with, of a house flipper that literally the toilet is here. And then when you go to shut the door, you can't shut the door. So I got the buyer sitting there, and he can't can't shut the door because he's like, how is someone supposed to go to the bathroom? Like everybody's going to know. So ridiculous. So ridiculous. So Audrey has a question. We're buying land to build while we wait 2 years. We're going to buy a new manufactured home, applied and approved, and now the dealer is trying to raise the price $10K. Can they do that? If you have a contract already on the home and you've agreed upon the price, I don't believe you can. I'm not very familiar with contracts when it comes to the actual lot, the place itself. So I would definitely check with a real estate attorney when it comes to that kind of thing.
Right.
I do know for a fact, and there's a few people that have YouTube channels about manufactured homes. They're suffering just like all home builders are suffering. Is the building materials and the cost of shipping has increased exponentially. So a house or manufactured home that you could have bought last year at this time, let's just say for $100,000, is now $135,000, and it's the same exact home. There's no difference in it other than the fact that building materials cost so much more. So that there's no, like, they have to pass that along to the consumer because they're not willing to take a hit.
And I have heard of new construction builders doing a very similar thing where you get a house under contract, and if the value of the house goes up between when you sign the contract and when they actually deliver it, that they can raise the price. What I would tell you is say, reach out to the guy, say, hey, tell me exactly where in the contract it says that you can do that, just to make sure that clause is actually in the contract. And if it's in there, I don't really know what to tell you. It's just.
Yeah, but if you would went in and it was 135,000 last week, and then you go in this week and it's 145,000, there's not a thing you can do about it because you have nothing in writing. They can technically do that. They can change,
Right.
They can charge whatever they want if you have it in writing, then you have something a leg to stand on. If you don't, then it's word of mouth, and we all know how that works.
Hopefully you had a real estate agent there to help you review the contract.
Swimming pool or bonus room? Which one would you do?
Bonus room.
Bonus room.
If you're looking to add equity to the property, bonus room. If your family would enjoy a swimming pool a heck of a lot more, and you plan on living there for the next 5-10 years, then by all means go with the swimming pool. But the bonus room is definitely going to add more equity.
I would get a bonus room, and if my kids whined about it, I would just get a really big screen TV and have the video like looping of a swimming pool where they could watch it and hear it.
That's like torture. That's horrible.
I'm evil like that.
Yeah.
All right. Do you think flippers should be taxed at a triple rate to help families get a home to live? Flippers are not helping at anything in the current market for families trying to afford their first home. What's your opinion about this?
So like I said, flippers play a vital role in the ecosystem. They are good to have in the ecosystem. And most of the time, flippers are not buying homes that are for sale. Most of the time, they find off-market properties. They find completely dilapidated homes or for sale by owners or rental properties that really need some updates to them. And that's how they flip them, turn them into a great house that you can buy and that qualifies for VA and FHA loan, and then they put them up on the market. So I don't hate against flippers. Now, I will say that a lot of times the ones that are doing it right, there's a pretty good profit margin in there. So if you wanted to raise the capital gains tax on a property like that, or I think the capital gains tax, if you own it less than 12 months, it's one rate. If you own it more than 12 months is a different rate. So if you wanted to even like extend that to make, well, I don't know if that would even solve it. But if you wanted to increase capital gains tax slightly, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I think that they could still be very profitable. But flippers do play a vital role. And I don't think that they're actually buying up homes and taking homes off the market that you would have been a viable option for you. Most of the times they're taking homes that you would never even consider owning. They're fixing them up and then presenting those to the market. So they could actually be adding inventory to the market, in my opinion.
It's not the little small, little mom and pop house flippers I am concerned with. It's my biggest concern are those foreign investors and corporate investors that are buying up whole brand new neighborhoods before they even have scraped the ground.
Right.
You know, like, I don't know, like, I'm sure you've heard me talk about this before, but the guy from Housing Wire, one of the columnists there, he's like, our affordability crisis isn't an affordability crisis. You want to keep your homes increasing in value. You don't want the housing market to be flooded with a bunch of affordable homes, because that's just going to bring your house value down. What you want is more affordable rental properties. And I'm like, no, I don't. I want people that are like, because the way it's going, my kids will never afford a house. It's going to be financially impossible unless they're like, you know, a corporate lawyer for these companies that are buying these corporate rental houses. You know, that's not what I want, but that is the plan that they're trying to throw at us as the solution to the housing problem, is to make more affordable housing. Like, I've seen tax credit apartment buildings. They don't care. You know, that's not a good way for people to increase wealth, because everybody knows that after World War II, everybody got their wealth from buying a house, you know, and that's how they paid for, you know, like their kids' colleges, because they took out equity loans, and then they, you know,
how they retired.
They retired with the equity they made off of their house. That's what they did. And now you're going to strip that dream away from people now because, you know, we want our home values to increase. I'm not saying I don't want sellers to make money. That's not what I'm saying. I don't want everybody to think that. What I'm saying is that we need to come up with a better option for people that are, you know, in that low income, even median income, because the median income is $68,000 and the median price of home is $378,000. That's not, I mean, they're paying a lot of money towards their mortgage. I mean, that's a lot.
And I'll say that I do think that home ownership plays a vital role in people being able to retire one day. Most people, they have to pay off their homes before they can retire. And once they do that, then that's it. They don't really have a monthly housing expense anymore, and that allows them to retire. If you just rent your entire life, you're always going to have that rent payment the entire life. And it could be the difference between a lot of these people ever retiring or working until the day they die. So that really is, it's crucial to the American dream to make home ownership affordable and easy for the average person. And another thing I do want to touch about flippers. So you're right that like the mom and pop flippers, the local flippers, like they're okay. Zillow is flipping properties right now, and I hate that they're doing that. I hate Zillow. The instant offer thing where they're buying properties directly from people. And I hate that because a lot of times they are making an instant offer to somebody and they're offering them, you know, $50,000 below what the actual market value is of the home. They buy it, maybe they do a couple renovations to it, and then they put it back up on the market. But they're literally taking equity away from homeowners with their Zillow instant offers. And that is kind of another form of flippers. And that type of flipper is not actually adding any value to the ecosystem, in my opinion. They're just taking equity and taking money away from American homeowners, in my opinion.
So like basically Zillow is like a wholesale real estate company as well as a advertising.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. Right, they've got their instant offer thing where Zillow says your home's worth $300,000 and we'll give you $300,000 for it. But in reality, you know, they probably could have sold it for $350,000 on the market.
But in this market, how many people are actually going, you know what, I'm going to go to Zillow, even though I could get 30 offers right now? I mean, like,
I think still some, I don't know, because, you know, Zillow says, oh, we make it so so Zillow, one of the appeals to that is that you don't have to have buyers coming through your property. So if somebody is really concerned about the whole virus and everything, and they don't want to have all these strangers walking through, they may say, oh, I'll just go with Zillow, not understanding that they're losing out on $40,000, $50,000 in that process. So there are still some people that are doing that. Or, you know, you also have like the elderly who don't really quite understand all of this, but they're familiar with Zillow. And so they just kind of click a few buttons and try to sell their house to them.
Yeah, my parents think that those estimates are correct. And I'm like, there's a reason why it's called a zestimate and not an estimate, because it's kind of like a fake estimate. And so I explained it to him. My dad got it. My mom was like, but it's like with a computer. And I'm like, no. It doesn't work that way, you know. All right. Steve Martinez says, I'm in Chicago, Illinois. I got a 2-unit I bought in 2017. Should I sell now? I have no mortgage. I think it's worth about $200,000. Are you making money on it as rentals? I mean, if you're making income, me
You know,
personally.
if you're renting it out, you know, you're making a profit off of it. Like we were saying, that rental prices are really high right now as well. They've been increasing. There's a shortage on rentals right now as well. So you're probably making a little profit on that. If you got in early, man, and if you're making a nice monthly profit, keep rolling with it.
I would never get rid of a cash flowing property ever, ever. I have a rental house around the corner, and we're actually remodeling it so we can up the rent. I could have upped the rent without remodeling it, but I wanted to, in good conscience, I wanted to up the rent after I remodeled it. So that way I felt like they were getting what they deserve. I never want to feel like I did something wrong by people, and it's going to look really cute when it's done. So do we have any other questions? Yes. Question. You answered a few weeks ago about a family property. We decided to go with a pre-built small cabin until we build our house. Any reputable companies to come to mind when around 600 square feet? I did a video, I think it was last Tuesday, and I mentioned a few companies in there. I would look at Linwood Homes, and I would look at Zip Kit Homes. They have really small little modulars you can check out. I wish the little modulars that were the ones I know you've seen, the boxables, they're not quite ready yet. They're not going to be out off the production line until the end of this year. If those are available, I tell you to get those, because I know those are built really well. The only thing I know that they're not built well for is they decided they were going to test it to see if they were bulletproof, which they're not. Oh. Which they're not, but they are fire resistant and mold resistant. So, but
there we go.
Yeah, Zip Kit Homes. I would check those out, in Linwood Homes. Those were two of my favorite when I was looking at modular home companies. So yeah, and go with modular because they are built to higher specifications than a traditional built home. Just to FYI. Well, I was thinking about this. See if you can leave that piece of property, that like little home, on the property itself, even after you build your actual house, because you could use that as a rental unit for somebody. And even if you're renting it out for your kid or whatever, it's still a tax write-off. So yeah, just think about that. Think about that. All right. Do we have any other questions? Yes. What are your top 5 states you would move to if you could work remotely?
Ooh. I think personal preference. You know, do you want warmer climate? Do you want colder climate? Do you want to be close to cities, far away from cities? Personally, I mean, I would love to go out to Arizona. I always thought Arizona, like Sedona, something like that. I always thought that was really pretty. Or out in Colorado would be really pretty. You could probably find something pretty affordable and remote out there.
I like Asheville, North Carolina. I like Tennessee. Like, I want to be mountains, and I want real changes of weather. Like we have 2 weather types here in Louisiana: oppressively hot for about 6 months, and then it's like dreary, damp, muggy, feely cold. It hurts your bones, even though it's like not really cold outside. It just feels like terribly cold because it's always like a wet blanket. So I would like someplace that was like just in that middle area of the South where you have real changes of weather, but I don't want like feet of snow up over my head. Right. I love the cold. I do. I like it cold. When we have those few months of cold, I'm like, I'm in my element. I'm like, thank God. Thank God. Do we have any more questions? Yes, we do. Asheville is very nice, he says. Let's see here. Kristina Smallhorn, how do you find an honest contractor who is not greedy, rip-off con artist?
That's tricky. Word of mouth is the best way. Getting somebody who actually recommended somebody to you. And I'll be honest, unfortunately, local Facebook groups are not the best way to find contractors anymore. I used to think that, but I noticed like contractors will have their friends vouching for them in these Facebook groups. I found a few contractors that I've hired that way, and they've been terrible, horrible. And I go back, I'm like, what the heck? How did all these people vouch for him in this group? And then I start searching through the group, and I see the same group of people always vouching for the same dang contractor in the Facebook group. So really finding a personal recommendation is the best way. If you know a good real estate agent, you can definitely ask them. They may be able to help you out with that as well.
The other little sneaky thing is those contractors do is they make dummy fake Facebook accounts, and then
Mm,
they're commenting on their own
is that
thing.
what it was? Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that's what they
had
do.
terrible experiences with Facebook or contractors I find on Facebook groups. They
Yeah,
must be doing something like that.
they take like pictures of their aunt, make up a fake Facebook account, throw a few memes in their timeline, and then they become a member of that group, and that's what they do. They comment on their own stuff so that way they can get more people. And I will tell you another place, a good resource to find a good contractor is ask your trusted real estate agent who they use in their area for specific things that you're like wanting to have fixed. Because a lot of real estate agents own rental properties, so they know who a good plumber is. They know who a good, tech for your air conditioning is. So contact your local real estate agent in your area that you know and trust, and ask them who they use for their properties. You'll find a good one. I had somebody that I knew and trusted that built my house, and I just because I'm in the business, that I knew who was a good builder and who I could trust, and that's who I would contact.
That's great.
Yeah. Question. The boxables can be joined together to make them larger structure? Yes, lawnmower. They can. They're like Legos. You can the way that if you watch them unfold, you see that one of the walls, you can watch it unfold. And instead of having it as a wall right there, you could have it as like the doorway. Like how it has the one door. You can connect those two walls together, remove the one wall, and then that becomes connected together, and then you have a walk-through, a pass-through right there, and then you can connect them together, and they even stack on top of each other. You can even stack them above, and then they have a staircase package where you could have it like just a box on top of a box.
I can't wait for those to actually come out just to see what kind of videos you can make about those. I'm guessing you're gonna go down there and see them put a few of these together.
I talked to them, I guess it was like 2 months ago, and he was like, the factory's getting going, and I'm like, oh, great. And he said that, because I had a couple ideas. So one of them is I want to see how long it takes for the house to catch on fire. So I wanted in the center of the house, I want to have a oily sock or whatever, and have the fire department out there. Of course, they live in Las Vegas, so there's plenty of desert right outside the little factory, just to throw it out there. And I want them to see how long it would take for it to actually engulf in flames and catch on fire. And the second thing I want to do you know what Orbeez are?
Yeah, the water things, little water kills.
Yeah. They're like little tiny, little gushy little balls. I want to see their boxables are 375 square feet. Maybe they're just at 400. I want to see how many Orbeez it would actually fill the boxable itself. Right. And I want to keep filling it until the windows bust open. So then there's Orbeez spraying out everywhere. So he said we could do it. He said we could do it. So.
Wow. I love that. What would you title that video? I exploded my tiny house with Orbeez.
Yeah. And then how long does it take? How long will it take this boxable home to catch on fire?
Right.
Yeah, because all the drywall inside it's a different type of drywall that we're used to. It's a fire resistant and it's mold resistant. I forgot what the name of it is. I can't think of the name of it at the top of my head, but it was really cool. And I was literally taking a roofing torch right to it. And I was holding it there, and it was warm. It was definitely warm, but it wasn't catching on fire.
That's awesome. Yeah, I can't wait for them to start making those. That's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, they're getting it all together. Do we have any questions there, Eddie? Yes. Jeremy Blanton, you know this guy.
Jeremy, I know that
guy. Am I better to buy new construction or resales these days? What's your opinion, Malcolm Lawson?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. A lot of buyers really are kind of getting buyer's fatigue, and they're just going for new construction just so that they're guaranteed to get something in 3 months, 6 months, however long it'll be. I always feel like you're paying a bit of a premium with new construction, but there is one benefit to it, is that a lot of times they will give you closing cost assistance. And right now in the market, in Maryland, Yeah.
They
So
don't do that here.
yeah, in Maryland, they pay most of your closing costs for you. The new
Yeah.
construction does, but
Mhm.
obviously for resales right now, that's virtually unheard of, getting closing cost assistance, putting in an offer. But new construction, they often make it as easy as they can to get buyers in there, and they'll cover a lot of your closing costs. I know a lot of buyers that they're leaning towards that just for that very reason.
Well, like in, parts of Louisiana and Texas, Arizona, all the way up going through California, going down that way, builders are not giving any incentives to purchase. As a matter of fact, they can negotiate, not even negotiate. They can tell them the house, even though it's in the framing stage, things look like they're going to cost more. It's going to cost you now $10,000 more, even though when they put in the offer, they already had bid over $100,000
Right.
more when they accepted it. And now the builder is telling them, well, it's going to be an additional 10,000. And then by the time they get to closing, it's an additional 30,000. So now they've spent $130,000 over the original asking price just to get in a brand new construction. And
Wow.
some of those people are like, I would just rather, go through the bidding wars. I understand buyer fatigue, but people are not, they don't like that little thing. But apparently it's like, that is not uncommon in California. The builders can do that. And when first time I heard that was from Julie Patterson. And I was like, I have never in my life have I ever heard that. Like, no, that would never fly here. And here we are. That's exactly
Yeah.
what they're doing.
2021. This is everything. Yeah.
She said I look familiar to Roz on the Frasier show. You guys could be twins. Remember Roz? You
Oh,
ever watch
yeah,
Frasier?
I do. That's
Yeah.
his dad's assistant or
I
something,
liked
right?
yeah, well, she was like a co-host on the show, on
Oh,
the talk
right,
show.
that one. Not the
Yeah.
British one. Yeah,
No.
on the show. Yeah.
Yeah, I liked her. She was snarky. I liked her. So that's a compliment. What's your opinion on rent forbearance? Well, the mortgage it's not rent forbearance. Forbearance is for mortgages, but rent was the moratorium where they froze
Right.
rent. And for the small investor, it was terrible. But I learned over time, small investors have figured out other ways to have some renters be removed. For instance, you can have renters not paying their rent, but if they were damaging the property or causing other problems, you could still have them
Mm,
removed if there was noise complaints or whatever. So a lot of people had that happen. I'm not saying that happened everywhere. We had some people that moved out. They had damaged our property. But we had given them a break for a little bit of time, but that gave us an opportunity to refinance the house and fix it up. So it was like, whatever, you know. I think it's time. I think it's time to let it go. Like people need to get back to work, and I think
I
it's
don't
time to let
know.
it go.
I think we just saw that new unemployment files were up for the first time in a long time. So I think our economy is not recovering quite on track like everybody's hoping for. Yeah, I don't know. It's a mess. I don't know what the answer is.
The thing is, there's jobs available, and even though they may not be the job that you wanted, it's available. So
Right.
I mean, like you see the signs everywhere, and I always feel bad for people that have to work low income jobs. There's no doubt about it, and I don't think necessarily low income jobs should be as low income as they are because it doesn't match with the
Right.
cost of living. I get it. I 100% get it, but there is a jobs available, and when we've lost our jobs, we were working 3 just to make sure that we never went behind on our payments. And I don't know. I'm not one of those like pick up your bootstraps and you got to work, but at some point like you're able, willing, let's do it, let's get it done. Question: have you already talked about DTI trying to buy and decide what ratio to go to in Southern California? Your DTI
Mm,
has your debt to income ratio is determined by your lender. So you're going to have to determine that with your lender because some debt is not considered the same as other debt. Like student loan debt, it has a different value to it than like a car payment rent,
yeah.
DTI. So how long will it take to turn Boxable into
Okay.
ashes? Oh, there's my title. Jeremy Blanton has helped me with the title. How long will it take? How long will it take for a Boxable to explode? Or I blew up a Boxable home.
Right. Yeah, you can have a lot of fun with those titles. I'm sure you can come up with
Yeah.
something really good. I like the Orby one. or maybe the elephant foam, right? That's a big thing. Or the
Elephant foam.
elephant
Oh,
toothpaste.
yeah, but how would you run out of that quick enough? I
I
don't
don't
have
know.
you seen that? Like as
Uh-uh.
soon as as soon as they put the chemicals in there, they're like running, because it
Right.
doesn't take long. It's like a chemical reaction. Like, how would you get out of that thing quick enough so you
You're
weren't like
literally
stuck in
you're
elephant
buying
foam?
it from a group of engineers. I'm sure they can rig up a rope and a pulley system to somehow, do that.
Well, the roof is expandable too. So yeah,
Mm,
like maybe from the inside you could do it. We should probably get that guy who does those videos, the one who does the glitter bombs and stuff. We can see if he
right.
can
Oh,
engineer
yeah, Mark.
something. Mark
Rover.
Rober. Yeah.
Rover. Yeah.
Yeah, well, maybe I could get him in on the collaboration because he's smart like that.
He'd probably do something like that. He's always down for, going green and helping out the environment and these good causes. And Boxables, I know they've talked about like deploying them to like Haiti or something after a major hurricane. I think they do have a lot of promise for stuff like that. So he may be a good advocate for that.
A little birdie told me that they're going to be down in Texas over by Elon Musk's uh, buildings and factories. They're going to have a
Oh,
lot of
that's
those.
awesome.
Yeah, I can't confirm or deny if that's all true, but
They got to make a Dogecoin version of the Boxable for Elon.
yeah, no, that ain't happening. That ain't happening. So let's hear your solutions for the affordable housing crisis for people right now. What do you think is going to happen, and what do you want home buyers to do right now? What do you think they should be doing?
Yeah. So God, it's tricky. I think home prices are going to keep going up for
Mhm.
the foreseeable future. I don't see a market crash any day now. I think that we are seeing inflation in our country right now, and that is the big reason home prices are going up. Why stock prices keep going up. Already, we're seeing a lot of retailers that are raising their prices as well. And the problem with inflation is that typically all the assets increase, but the minimum wage stays the same. Minimum wage only gets increased once every like 10 years or something. And with minimum wage staying where it is, pretty much everybody's income is staying where it is relative to that. So I think that this issue is going to get worse. What we need really is more inventory in the market. That's what we need. Not everybody needs a big fancy home, right? We need some single, 2-bedroom homes in the market. We need more tiny homes, and we need more tax incentives from the government to help out builders building small homes. And maybe Boxable is going to be a good solution for that. If they can quickly deploy 500 of these in a community somewhere, that may be a good solution for affordable housing for people in that area. As far as like my advice to people in, actually buying a home right now, yeah, it's tough to say. I say try to get into the market. If you can get into a home, I'm still telling people I think it's a good option to buy something right now. I still think home prices are going to go up. You just have to kind of set your expectation that it's going to take you a little bit longer to actually purchase something. And yeah, it's a tough situation.
If you have more investors like Blackstone that are going to keep buying these, big subdivisions out before even the regular home buyer could come in and buy them, I mean, we're not going to see anything going down anytime soon. The only thing that what we can count on, at some point, the interest rates are going to go up. They're going to have to, and so you're going to be paying one way or another. It's just, I think that every area needs to put a limitation on how many homes a corporation can buy. Like a corporation like Blackstone shouldn't be allowed to buy a whole entire subdivision. Maybe they could buy 10%, but not a whole entire subdivision. And that can be changed in the laws at the time before the subdivision is even created, because, you have to have that approved ahead of time. So you need to start going to these meetings and not allow them to do it, not allow them to sell it to the whole entire corporation. So, Malcolm, I just want to. Who came out? How yours is when it crashes, so I can create my own savvy Havy coin. Oh, he wants his own Havy coin.
Yeah, do it, man. I love
Javier. Javier.
Create a fork of Bitcoin.
Go ahead. Who's got a question? Zach has a question. Wait for a crash in LA or join California's exodus. Could the exodus cause prices to go down in major California cities? Okay, so here's the thing. Like, I know the headlines. We all just like the headlines. Mass exodus, people leaving New York and California. And yes, that's true. But those like the biggest problem right now California has with the mass exodus are people that were low income, because across the United States we have over 7 million people that can't afford even rent, right? So in California, with those low income people, they left California because they couldn't afford to live there and not work. So they packed up their families and they went back to Texas, they went back to Alabama, they left. And now that you have all these expensive homes and people living in those expensive homes, and the prices are still continuing to go up because people that have money are still going to buy houses at top dollar. I mean, there has been no even a slight chance of those houses going down. The only place I've seen the prices have decreased in all of California is Venice Beach. And do you know where you could see in Venice Beach? Beautiful homes and homeless. That's the two things you see in Venice Beach. It's awful. There's nothing but tent cities all the way down.
Yeah, that's a whole nother problem, the homeless issue. We don't really have that many here in Maryland unless you go into Baltimore or into DC.
We wouldn't have a homeless problem like we do if they had more affordable housing options. There is over 7 million low-income families that can't even find a low-income home to purchase or to rent. And that was before the pandemic. It's gotten worse since the pandemic. It's gotten worse.
I mean, if their option is to buy a $300,000 home or rent for $3,000 a month, there's plenty of people who can't do either of those. Yeah, what do you do? You go buy a tent for $30.
It's awful. Yeah. It like literally, like sometimes I'm like, God, I see people and I like, you get that like well up in your throat. Like, why is this? And it doesn't behoove people. There's people that work for solve the homeless problem, corporations and affordable housing, but their job is to basically raise money. So even when you bring them the solution and you tell them, look, we can do this. Look, you have all this land right here that's being unused. You have it as incorporated. You can make it unincorporated and put these tiny homes here, and it will cost you a minimum amount of money. And not only that, you'll get tax money, property tax money from these people if you build these little houses at $65,000 so they can get a traditional home mortgage. All they have to do is literally make them $66,000, because at $65,000 you can't get a 30-year mortgage, traditional mortgage on it. But if they made it for $66,000, they could. You've given them solution, but you know what else you did? You got them out of their job, which was to try to find a solution. So they just take your little plan and they go, oh, that was so great. Thank you so much. And they throw you under the carpet and stop answering your calls. I'm not joking. It's 100% true.
Just wait until somebody with an audience like you can start advocating for this. You got to make a video about what policies do they need to impose, to actually solve these issues.
They don't want to solve them. They just want to talk about solving them. That's their job.
Yeah.
They really don't want to solve them. I think it's all hose.
Is it going to leave it up to the free market? Companies like Boxable, they can make huge progress during solving some of these problems. Now they just need land.
And that's why I talk about it all the time, because there is a ton of land that's owned by every single city that's just sitting there vacant for just in case some project comes up and they might need to build a library in the future. Well, you have a problem now. You have the vacant land now. Solve a problem, which is affordable housing, and put it in there. And you could sell that to developers at a very low rate, and they know they can. But it just doesn't help them. They're not getting their pockets greased like they like.
Right.
Anyways, but all right, so we can't solve all the world problems in an hour, but I do want to thank you, Malcolm Lawson. If you don't know, Malcolm Lawson has his own YouTube channel about real estate. He also talks about all sorts of real estate investing, including REITs. So if you haven't yet, go over to Malcolm Lawson's channel and check him out, and make sure you hit that subscribe button. And if you're new here and you haven't hit the subscribe button, go ahead and do that now, because I put out a video every Tuesday and I'm awesome. And before you leave, hit that thumbs up button. Thank you, Malcolm. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on. I always love coming on these.
Yeah, I know. I love having you on here. I haven't had you on here in a long time. You've been ignoring me. So thank you everybody for spending your Sunday with me. Bye bye.